Thanks for tuning in to yet another video. Infamous here. I'm going to be going over some of the basic tools you need while working on your bike. And if you're new at this, I always, like I said on my videos, I always recommend for you guys to get familiar with the bike, get yourself a service manual, and most of the time, 100% of the time, the tools to purchase would actually cost you less than to take it to a service shop or a dealership, depending on how much they charge you by the hour. If you go to a dealership, you're probably looking at over $100 an hour, depending where you're at. Here in California, you're looking at $140 an hour. Damn! For a dealership service cost. So if you factor in $140 of just parts, what I have here on the table, you won't even get there for $140. So you could get yourself a lot of tools, a lot of different specialty tools that will help you with fixing your bike or maintaining your bike. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into this. Now, things that you absolutely need: Loctite, 100%. Just because of the vibrations, you don't want nuts and bolts to come off loose, to come off the bike while you're riding. That'd be a big safety hazard issue for the bike, especially if you're looking at parts on air filters. It's happened before where parts, bolts, screws come off of aftermarket air filters and they get sucked into the throttle body, and it just completely destroys your upper engine. So you always want to make sure you Loctite everything. It's always recommended whenever you're working on something on the bike, just don't Loctite your drain plug gaskets or something like that. You know, your drain plugs. You don't want to Loctite those bolts, but everything else you're pretty much going to be using Loctite. If you've seen all my videos, I always use Loctite on just about everything.
I put that on everything.
I have a lot of these tools here. Now, a lot of these tools, you can get them at Home Depot. You could also get them at Chicago Freight. Now, this one you're looking at about, maybe I got this for $20, and I've been using this for many years. You have numbers on the sockets, and as you can see here, this one I actually grinded out. I did a modification to it. Now, this was for my passing lamps. I was having some issues with the passing lamps coming off loose, so I took a grinder and I grinded it out on the 9/16. So now this still functions as a regular socket. I could still use this for all my other repairs, but if you have a passing lamp and it's coming loose and you need to have, because it's a throttle, it's a wired through bolt, you can use this, what I did here. Now, going back on the basic tools, sorry about going a little bit off subject, but you can't go wrong with just a basic socket set, ratchet set. This is great. This one, like I said, cost me about $20. You have the bolt size here. This 19. This would be for your risers, and you have everything here that you would need to kind of get you covered for the drain plugs. Some of the other bolts that are on the bike. This is just, basic necessities, stuff that I would absolutely recommend you to get before you even start working, or consider before you start working on your bike. So a good socket set. Now this one, another set here, this is a wrench. Now this one's for those tight to get to sockets, like your exhaust headers. A socket set, a wrench set. This is a 28 piece. This one was also $20. A great value. They have sizes all the way down to 10 or 3/8. This would fit on your brake calipers when you're bleeding your brakes. But let's not get into the specialty services. But for your basic service, you can't go wrong with the good wrench set. Now these ones, like I said, there's a lot of sizes on here, and the ones over here, they're kind of duplicate, but they do go all the way up to 18. And these fit perfectly in between your swing arm, and it fits perfectly those tight to get places like I said, the exhaust ports, or your headers when you're swapping them out, or when you're just doing a maintenance, something you try and get underneath, or you're trying to connect your engine guard or something, just something that's really tight to get a socket in there, a ratchet, you would also need something like this. Now this is, like I said, I got this one at Home Depot, paid $20 for it, and I've been using it for many years now. This is from Pittsburgh, T-set handles. This is Chicago Freight. Now this one is pretty good because you have a good control. You're able to get a good grip, and you can get some really good torque on these bolts. Sometimes if you're underneath the bike, the only ones you could use are actually the hex key bolt on. So this would be, now I have a bunch of these, and the main reason why I have a whole lot of these Allen hex key metric bolts is I tend to kind of lose these quite a bit, and somehow I'll find them again. That's why I have so many. But all of this is pretty much from Chicago Freight. As you can see, these are all probably made in China, and they've been pretty good. And these longer ones, same thing, you get more torque on it. I've also done, if you've seen the installations, I've also went ahead and I've used a little bit of Phillips screws to kind of get some more torque on these, especially when it comes to your clutch cover. You're going to need a good set of these hex keys, Allen keys. Honestly, you need this mainly for bikes and motorcycles. If you're working on a vehicle, it's different. You could work off of just the socket and the wrenches. But for motorcycles, you have to have a good hex key set. So we have these. I also have this little design here. Comfort wise, when it comes to really torquing down on these bolts, you honestly need these guys up here. All right. So I got a bunch of this stuff. Like I said, I usually find them after, and a lot of these, they come from Harbor Freight the way you see it here, like this kind of set of 3. So these come in a packaging together. They're about maybe $10. Same thing with this. This one I believe came with a set of another one, a gray one, and that's what I end up doing. I end up losing these, and then I'll find them again. And like I mentioned, the top grips on these, they work fairly well, and you have a lot of torquing, a lot of leverage to kind of get your hand on there and really break these bolts and nuts loose when it comes to working on the bike. Now this is another set. Now these, they actually come in handy when it comes to being underneath the bike. There's a lot of bolts, and there's a lot of bolts underneath the bike that are just hex or Allen wrenches, sockets that'll only work while you're using these different sockets. You do not want to start working on a bike without a good set of these wrenches, these sockets I mean, and these other star pattern ones right here too. So this one I believe I got for $10. This one also maybe another $10. So overall, you're still under that $140 budget that the service shop's going to charge you by the hour. You could buy all of these tools for less than $100. You could get all of this 20, 15, another $10, you're still way below your $140 budget that they would charge you at a service shop or at a dealership. So must have 100% your wrenches, your socket set, and your hex keys. Now the reason why I have my tablet out here is because you will need the service manual. Alright. Now the reason why I have it on my tablet is because I didn't want to pay the $150 that Harley-Davidson was asking for. It's these will come in handy. They give you a step-by-step. They give you torque specs. They tell you the pattern you should be tightening the pattern, the number sequence that you have to kind of follow to make sure the components and everything's installed correctly. So there's a lot of information here for you guys to kind of look through, and a lot of information you guys could also follow, and it'll be a good tool to kind of get yourself familiarized with such repairs. And also, you know, I also like to kind of watch YouTube videos. That's another good tool for you guys to use. YouTube videos, they're free. You don't have to pay anything for them. You could also subscribe to the channel to kind of show a little bit of support when it comes to following these how-to videos. Look through, read through at night when you're about to sleep, or when you're about to kind of start on a project. Just kind of look into your service manual, get yourself a good idea of what you're going to be going up against. That's pretty much your basic necessities before you even start working on a bike. Now, I have some specialty tools. I have a few other tools that I do. You also, if you're going to be working on the motorcycle, it's a good idea to get these snap ring pliers. Now, I have videos where I actually worked on the bike and I didn't have these available to me. I just barely got these, mainly for my clutch cable adjustment video. I use these for that. But if you look at my other videos, I use 2 flatheads. It's not recommended. I've used needle nose pliers and a flathead to kind of get these snap rings off bolts. And there's a really good chance you're going to scratch your primary, or scratch your handlebars, or scratch your tank or something if you don't use proper tools. Even with all these tools, maybe not the iPad, but even with all these tools, you're still under $140. So, and like I mentioned, you're going to get yourself familiarized with the bike. And like I said, they have foot pounds on the service manual, and you could adjust this by how much foot pounds you need on that bolt, or you know. So still, like I said, you're still under the budget. This is a great tool to have, and this is mainly when you start getting into the axles, the wheels. There is torque values on the foot controls, on the frame bolts. They do have recommendations. There's a few minor components on the bike that you would have to get them torqued to spec. So this is yet another great tool to have. Like I said, this is probably 20 bucks. Even if you just get these these are about 60 bucks. You still have room there for a jack stand or a bike stand. I don't have a bike stand yet, but once I start probably changing tires or doing some kind of repairs on the rims, I'm gonna have to get myself a bike stand. So that's pretty much it, you know. If I left anything out, or if you guys have any other specialty tools, the subscribers and viewers, if you guys want to recommend some tools for the community, just leave your comments down below. It'll help out everybody. And there's still one more thing I forgot. If you guys want to join a Facebook group, you can. There's a Lowrider S Facebook group, 2020 Softail Lowrider S Facebook group that you could join, and there's always people a lot smarter than me that are commenting and helping the community out. So you could join that Facebook group. Like I said, there's a lot of people there far smarter than me that have more knowledge on the bike than I do. You could also request photos from the community, and everybody's there. Everybody responds. There's tons and tons of bikes that everybody has a different style, a different look to. So you could go on there. There's ape hangers. There's T-bars like mine. There's different FXR fairings with different saddlebags. There's everything's on there. If you're planning on buying components and you're looking into a style, there's a really good chance you go on there, you post on that Facebook group, someone's going to respond with images of their own bike and what it looks like to give you kind of a better idea of your own build, of what you have pictured in your head for your own project. Specialty tools, once you get to that part of the build, highly recommend considering buying your specialty tools once you get there, but you only need ratchets, sockets, wrenches, and hex keys. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching the video. You guys leave your comments down below on what tool sets you guys recommend for other viewers. Later.